Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, we are back with another episode, back with another video. It's been a while. I think it's been like over a week, but I just get busy with life sometimes. So it's just whenever I get a chance, I can come in here. I can come into the lab, I can work up some magic. And when I mean my magic, I mean Jesus Christ, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, the Triune God. Um, Hope you guys have had a good week. Hope you guys are doing good. Um, yeah, chapter 33 of Genesis. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get it. All right, we'll do a little recap. So I'm pretty sure, because it's also been like a week for me since I've read anything. But I'm pretty sure, I think it was in chapter 32. So the Lord, actually, I don't think, no, I think Jacob went on his own. I don't know. No, I think the Lord spoke to him and said, hey, go back to where you came from, go back to your land, in the sense of like, uh, over there where your dad was from. Go back with your family, with your children, with all your animals, and all the men that work for you, and the women that work for you. And then he sent a messenger out to meet his brother Esau. Remember, he took his brother's birthright and his blessing. So whenever he left his father's house to go find his wife, and he stayed there for like 20 years, him and his brother ended on bad terms. His brother was saying, I'm going to kill you. When my father dies, which he will die soon, I'm going to kill you. And so that's the last time he's ever talked to him or ever saw him. So he's looking back, and now fast forward, right? He's afraid. He's like, oh shoot, my brother knows I'm here. My brother knows I'm coming. And then I think they said that he sent a messenger out to Esau, and he came back and it was like, yeah, he has 400 men and he's coming over here. So he's thinking that he's going to kill him like he said he was going to do. So I think it was over here. I think they're over here somewhere. Let me zoom in. I think they're over in Peniel. Okay. Because I think what happened was he separated his, because remember he had like a lot of people traveling with him. So he separated into two groups. Him, I think he's over here in Peniel. And it's just him and his wives and his children. And the first group is like over here somewhere. And he just gave the cattle, the animals, the sheep, the ox, his men servants, his maid servants, hoping like as a gift to Esau, saying, "Look, don't kill me. I'll give you everything I have." And so I think now here we are. So, and obviously you can go watch chapter 32, but I'm pretty sure because it's also been a week since I've touched this. So, okay, chapter 33. Let's get it. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau was coming, and 400 men with him. So we divided the children among Leah. So I guess, remember that first batch that was just like the animals and the people, saying, look, whenever you find my brother Esau, give this to him as an offering. Tell him we come in peace. Tell him don't kill me. So that he's past that. Now he's going straight towards Jacob. So Jacob's like, oh shit, okay, here we go, right? So he saw Esau coming and 400 men with him. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the two maids. And he put the maids with their children in the front, and Leah with her children, and Rachel and Joseph last of all. So he put them in a line. Like first he made the two maid women with with his children, and then he behind them, maybe a little bit past, he put Leah and her children, and then after that he put Rachel and Joseph at the very, very, very end. And then he says he himself went on before them. So he was in the beginning. He was going to go face Esau. Then it was the maid servants, the maid woman, his wives, and the children. Then Leah and her children. And then last of all, Rachel and Joseph. Because remember, Rachel's the one who he loved first and who he loves the most. So he himself went on before them. And he said, bowing himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. So he saw his brother, and he saw him coming with him, and he just started to go towards him and just bow down, towards him, saying as in like, please, like I'm doing no harm. I'm bowing down to you. I'm your subordinate. But Esau ran to meet him, so he probably got off of his horse and just started running. But Esau ran to meet him and embraced him, actually, and fell on his knees and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. So, I can only imagine like Jacob was on the ground, like kneeling, right? Like, hey, I come in peace, or like, just don't hurt me. Esau running towards him and just kissed him on the neck, fell on him, and just cried with him. And when Esau raised his eyes and saw the woman and children, he said, "Who are these with you?" Jacob said, "The children whom God has graciously given your servant." So, Esau, when Jacob left, he had no wife, no kids, nothing. Right? He's coming back with like 12 kids and like 4 wives. So he's like, "Who are these people?" You know, Jacob's like, "The children whom God has graciously given your servant." And he's even saying, whenever he's talking to his brother Esau, he's like, "I'm your servant." Now let's see which word God they're using in this. Let's see. Let's go to verse 5. I mean, verse 5. So here it says, I just want to see which way they're writing it in Hebrew. Elohim. Remember Elohim. So Elohim, I don't know. I look it up. I think I before in my old videos, I would say I lean towards the Father, Yahweh. But now I kind of lean, after like doing a little bit more research, I lean towards it's Jesus Christ, actually, whenever they talk about Elohim. Now, obviously, I know they're one God. It's the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. They are one. But they're three, one essence, but three different entities that create the triune. But yeah, so I think Elohim, I'm leaning towards the Son. Anything else changes, I'll go from there. But obviously, when you talk about Jesus, you talk about the Father. When you're talking to the Father, you're talking to Jesus. They are one. They work in harmony. Okay, so they're using Elohim for that one. Shoot, I'm trying to track. Okay. Yeah, whom God has graciously given your servant. Then the maids drew near, and they and their children, and bowed down. So they bowed down to Esau. Like Leah then came next, likewise, and her children draw near and bowed down. And lastly, Joseph and Rachel draw near, and they bow down. Esau said, "What do you mean by all this company which I met?" And I think he's talking about the animals and the cattle that he just saw right behind him. Jacob answered, "To find favor in the sight of my Lord." So he's saying, like, Esau's like, what are you trying to get off by like giving me all these animals and these gifts and stuff? Jacob answered, "So hopefully I can find favor in your sight." Like, meaning as in like, I'm on your good side. You don't have to hurt me or kill me or my family. And remember, it's a point he said, "Sight of my Lord." So remember, Lord, they use Adoni. I'm sorry. Let's go to verse 8. He's not calling him Lord like as in God. He's saying, look, Adoni. Remember, Adoni means it's just like when you're speaking to somebody who's like a human being, but you have high respect for them. And I think I have it here. So if you ever want to know Lord, my Lord, in Greek for that word Adoni is Hokios. So, one. Okay. But Esau said, "I have enough, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself." Jacob said, "No, I pray you, if I have found favor in your sight, then accept my present from my hand. For truly, to see your face is like seeing the face of God." So he's extremely happy to see him. And I think they use Elohim for that one too. "With such favor have you received me. Accept, I pray you, my gift that is brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough." Then he urged him, and he took it. So he eventually took the gifts that Jacob was giving him, but he was fighting a little bit, saying like, "Why should I do? Why do I need this? I don't need this. I have enough." He's like, "I have enough, my brother. Keep it for yourself." And Jacob's like, "No, I insist. If I found favor in your sight, whenever you saw me and you're happy, if you saw me and you're happy, take it. I have more than enough." And it's kind of fair, right? Like, he took his birthright, he took his blessing. Remember, Isaac blessed Jacob to have all these riches and be a wealthy man. And he gave his son Esau a blessing as well too, but not as big as Jacob. So, it's kind of like one of those like big brother things. Typically, like if you're a big brother, like I have a like if somebody's a bigger brother, you still look out for your younger brother. So yeah. So it says, so he took it, right? He took them. But then Esau said, "Let us journey on our way, and I will go before you." But Jacob said to him, so Esau's now saying, "Okay, like I'll accept it. Now come on, let's go back on our way home." Because remember, Esau's not from there. Esau's from Seir, and we'll get to a little bit of it. But he's saying, he's like, "Come on, I'll lead the way, but follow me." But Jacob said to him, "My Lord," and he's using Adoni. My Lord knows that the children are frail. So he's meaning as in like, look, you know that I have the young children, and the flocks and herds give and suck are a care to me. Meaning as in like he has animals and their cattle and their babies with him that he has to worry about. And if they are overdriven for one day, all the flocks would die. So he's saying, look, you came here with 400 men ready for an army, ready for war. I'm in a little bit different position where I have children, a family, and I have my animals. We can't go the same pace as you. If we follow you, we're right behind you, we're with you. We're gonna die because we can't run at that pace for that long. So he said, "Let my Lord pass on before his servant." So he's saying, "Look, you go on before me, and I will lead on. I'll follow you slowly, according to the pace of the cattle which are before me, and according to the pace of the children, until I come to my Lord in Seir." So remember, Seir is where? Is right here. I think y'all can see that. Seir is right here. And that's where what's his name? Esu. Yeah, it stays and lives. So Esu said, let me leave you with some of my men." Oh, hold on, my phone. Okay. So Esu said, "Let me leave with you some of my men who are with me." Probably just like as like safety and just out of respect. Let me some of the men to protect you and stuff just in case. But he said, "What need is there?" Right? Jacob saying, "What need is there? Let me find favor in the sight of my Lord." So he's saying like there's no need. You know, um, grant me this wish. So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir. But Jacob journeyed to Succoth and built himself a house and made booths for his cattle. So he made like a house for his animals too, like a barn, I guess I could think of it as. Therefore, the name of the place is called Succoth, which is Succoth, which is right here. Let me see. I think I have it right here. Oh yeah, it's right here. So remember, they were in Peniel. I'm pretty sure. I can double check it, but I'm pretty sure they're in Peniel. Esau went back home. Jacob went to here, Succoth. So why? I don't know. But he traveled to Succoth and built himself a house and made a barn for his animals. Therefore, he named the place. Therefore, the name of the place is called Succoth. Um. So now it says Jacob reaches Shechem, and Jacob came safely to the city of. So I guess after he made all that stuff, he went to the city of Shechem, which is actually right over here. Right here, if I can see it, right here. Let me zoom in a little bit. Right here, Shechem. Okay, so he was there. He moved over here, made a house, made a spot for his animals, and then he traveled to Shechem. So Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, on his way from Padan Aram, and he camped before the city. And from the sons of Hamor, Shechem's father, he bought for 100 pieces of money the piece of land on which he had pitched his tent. I think my camera just it stops after like 14 minutes, but we're almost done, so it's okay. I guess where we started. So and Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, on his way to Padan Aram, and he camped before the city. And from the sons of Hamor, Shechem's father, he bought for 100 pieces of money the piece of land on which he had pitched his tent. So I guess back here he paid $100 or 100 pieces of money for this land where he made his house and all the land and like the barn that he made. There he erected an altar and called it El-elohe-israel, which I think if we go back to the Hebrew, let me go back to the very end. Yes. It says, and he called it El-elohe-israel. And if you go to the Septuagint, and he set up there an altar and called on the God of Israel. Remember whenever he was wrestling uh, mentally, and then at one point maybe a little bit actual physical, um, the angel of the Lord, which we all know it was Jesus, and it was, remember, it's Elohim. So remember, I'm leaning towards Elohim is Jesus. Um, he told him, what's your name, Jacob? Your name won't be called Jacob no more. Your name will be called Israel, because you will because you battled against God, and that's what Israel means in Hebrew. It's having difficulties with God, striving with God. So he said, "Hey, that's your new name," and that's what he's kind of saying there. He's like, he built an altar at his house, and he called it El-elohe-israel. What does that mean? He called it the God of Israel. So, because if he's calling me Israel, right? You are the God of Israel. Because you're my God. Remember, Jacob's like, my God is, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And so, he made the altar and he called it, the God of Israel, because that's his God. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the chapter. We'll see what goes on with Jacob in the next chapter, chapter 34. Come back. Hopefully tomorrow I'm gonna post another video about what happens next. But some pretty cool stuff. I guess Esau didn't go out there and kill his brother Jacob and all his family. He actually embraced him. He accepted the gifts, and he went back to his land. So, but just imagine, I guess, like right before that closing statement, it's like, I don't know, it's like, yeah, I'm tired. You would think though, like, all his sons and all his daughters, he'd put them all together way, way far away behind him, but he made them in, like, it was him, right? He's the man. He was the first one. But then he put like his maid wives and their children behind him a little bit after. And then he put Leah and her children a little bit after. And then he put Rachel and like, imagine that. Like, imagine in real life you're going through this, right? You're in there. Like, you're one of his kids. And you're like, why is my dad putting us in order? Like, least amount of caring to the most amount of caring. Like, I'm sure he all loved them all and cared about them, but it's kind of messed up a little bit. You think about it, but but it also goes to show just how much he loves Rachel, and his son Joseph. But remember, Jacob never wanted that many wives. Remember, Jacob only wanted Rachel, but because of what happened, he has more wives. You guys can go back and watch the episode if you want to keep up with it. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for the chapter, guys. I don't want it to get too long. So you guys have a good night. Have a blessed day, and may the Holy Spirit be with you, guide you, and help us have a good night rest tonight. So, all right, peace.